So what's up, guys? So I know I promised you an unboxing of our 2 Comma Club Award that we just recently earned for the sales agency, producing over $1 million in collected revenue. I'm actually in the process of moving everything into my new high-rise, and in that process, I brought the award over there and didn't plan my day out as effectively. So we're not going to be doing the unboxing today because the award is over at the high-rise and I am still at the apartment in the town center. I have both of them, so I'm just in the process of getting both of them feeling, having all the stuff I need there. So instead, what I'm going to do for you today, because I promised a video, and we always do videos on Tuesdays with sales training, I wanted to go over different ways that I absorb information in a way that's been able to allow us to move fast, right? To go from zero, no testimonials, no case studies, nothing, no team, all the way to producing over $1 million in revenue in just 2.5 years in collected revenue, not contracts. Contracts has been millions of dollars of revenue. So behind me here, I have a lot of books. So I'm going to show you exactly how I take information in, and different ways that I consume it. So this way, if it's helpful for you, you can leverage this on how to be able to master your craft. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. What matters is that you apply the concepts, okay? If anybody that knows me knows that I have been doing a lot of stuff over the last 10 years that are a lot of the same concepts. Jade, what's up? Jade, oh, that's right, Jade's giving me 10 seconds on this video. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we go live in the Facebook group, and sometimes we move these videos over to YouTube. But anyway, so I'm going to go over how I structure the books I read, why I read the books I read, how I absorb information outside of books, and how to make it applicable. Okay, because that's always a thing. There's a lot of controversy around ways to take in information because people feel like they take in too much information, then they're not going to be able to apply it. So it's like you're wasting the time, essentially. And that's why whenever people say it's not about how many books you read, it's a matter of how you can apply what you read in the books. That's true, but there's still a way that you can read in volume. Go through a whole book, not just go through the cliff notes of Mentor Box, I believe is Ty Lopez's company and his partner, where they just have cliff notes of the books. You can actually read full books and still be able to implement the knowledge. All right, and there's some other ways to do that outside of books, which we'll get into. So first of all, my stacks of books here, because I get asked this all the time. Rob, what books do you read? So we'll get into the books, and I'll get into how you can actually apply concepts to absorb information outside of books. It'll make you a better person. It'll make you a better sales pro. It'll make you a better entrepreneur, okay? So up top, I do this with my clothes too. I segment all of my stuff by categories, okay? So over here, I have my operational books, which are things that I plan on reading. So I'll just share these with you. I'm not going to share all the books with you because there's not, if I were to pull all these books off the shelf, it would be an insanely long, redundant video. We got Measure What Matters. Okay, this is a book about OKRs. If you're not familiar with OKRs, that's okay. It's if you're running a business, it's important to understand it. If you're not running a business, you're a sales pro, then really that's not super relevant for where you're at. Whenever you're reading different books, guys and gals, keep in mind it's all about the season you're in, okay? So you'll notice I have a lot of different books here. I like to read 3 different categories of books at a time. And the reason why is because, A, it's going to help my mental bandwidth. It allows me to be able to retain lots of information from different types of topics. So you're stretching, right, your capacity, the same way that you would stretch yourself in taking multiple classes in college or high school, AP credits, etc., right? Same thing. So I like to be able to stretch my capacity to hold information. So I like to read 3 different books at a time. One in the morning, one in the middle of the day, one at the end of the day. If you're thinking, man, that's insanely time consuming, what I would like you to look at it in the sense of like an athlete, right? If you were to say that to an athlete and say, oh my gosh, bro, you stretch before your workout and before you run, and you stretch after you run, dude, and you stretch at night, oh my gosh, man, that sounds like a lot of time. But the thing is, it's the little things that you do when people aren't looking, right? It's the little things that you do that are off the actual field, right, or off the court that make you great, It's not being on the court. All right? So keep that stuff in mind. So that's why I like to read 3 different books at a time. And I'll show you the books I'm reading right now. I like to make sure I read one for sales, one for leadership, and one for, what is the other one that I always read? Lessons, just like life lessons and leadership, like lessons in life, learning from other people that have done the shit, okay? So Measure What Matters, one of my business books. Double Double is another one for, these are all operational books. And then KPI Indicators for Dummies. I love reading books that dumb things down, because what a lot of people overlook is they feel like, well, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I can help somebody. And that's typically the opposite. You're gonna hurt people in the room if you're that person. The trick to helping people isn't being the smartest person in the room, it's being able to dumb down what you know in order to be able to make it applicable for everyone in the room, okay? So I love reading books that are able to take really complex topics and to be able to simplify them. All right, so I love books like that, not just because I want to take on more information and learn more, but more so I want to figure out how to take the information I know, consolidate it, condense it down, and to be able to make it applicable for the masses, okay? It's actually our mission, right, for the sales agency and the company, is to develop the world's most universally applicable sales system and sales team development platform. That's our mission for the sales agency. So it's not just a matter of understanding sales, it's making it applicable to all industries, universally usable. So over here I have stories about other companies. I love reading biographies and autobiographies. And the reason why is because to be able to learn from people that have already done the thing, you're learning from their experience. That's called wisdom. Okay, big difference from learning a skill set. There's so much it's just so undervalued wisdom. Everybody wants to learn from the new young guy that's doing the thing, right? And I guess I'm 28 at the time of making this video. It's not like I'm a quote unquote old guy or anything. Some kid, my young sister would call me a boomer, so that's a thing. But anyway, it's really important. Wisdom is so overlooked. People forget that you want to learn from somebody that's been there, done that, got the t-shirt in life. Not just some type of specific thing, skill set, characteristic. You want to be able to learn from people that are the holistic whole package, okay? I can't tell you how many times that I've met some of the most talented people I've ever come across in my entire 28 years, and they become their own downfall. Their ego tears them apart, right? Their pride tears them apart. Their impatience tears them apart. Their frustration, anger, and emotions tear them apart. Their mindset tears them apart because they're focused on learning from somebody that has really crushed it one specific area of their life. So they follow that person blindly because they want to learn all the things from that one person in that category. But what they don't realize is everything else that encompasses that person is also rubbing off on them. Okay, so all the bad habits, all the bad tendencies, all the imbalances, right? Because maybe they don't have a strong work-life balance. Maybe they don't have a strong family life-work balance. There's no balance. The health isn't there. The finances isn't there. They're unbalanced. So that unbalancedness is rubbing off on the mentee. So a couple of these books that I have here, the Microsoft story, freaking love the Microsoft company. I want to learn more about them because obviously Apple came in and started running the show. And for Microsoft to come back from who they were, where they were, and just to be such a freaking tech giant and just be able to stand the test of time, that speaks volumes to be able to pivot like that as a business. Netflix, I absolutely love the story of Netflix. I'm pumped to read this one. Haven't read this one yet. Anybody really in general that started in door-to-door sales, I want to know their story. And the founders of Netflix started in door-to-door sales. Spanx too, the founder of Spanx started in door-to-door sales. I wish she would write a book. Bezonomics is a book about Amazon. Can't wait to read this one. The most recent one I read, I'll just share this with you guys. Most recent one that I read was Work Rules. Work Rules by Laszlo. So this is a book about Google and the founders of Google. So it's pretty phenomenal. It's about their culture and how Google came to be, where they started. They almost weren't a company, right? And this is a great example of how like you can go from just being an idea and just as easily as you could push through and become Google, right? This titan of an industry, of a company, you could just as easily never exist. Crazy, right? They tried to sell Google and they couldn't. They couldn't get a buyer for Google. So they didn't sell it, and they're just like, all right, well, I guess we'll just run with it. And then they became who they are today, growing at insane rates, constantly creating. Same thing with Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos is such a great role model that like constantly creating, never stopping, always creating. Not easy to do, fam. Well, let me take a sip of my coffee before we get into some of the sales stuff and leadership. If you have any comments, put them down below. I'll answer those, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. So down here below, these are all the books that I have not read and don't really have immediate interest to read. So I separate those here. Everything down this column here are books that I have recently read. So I separate those. I would say some of my favorites out of this stack: Steal Like an Artist, one of my favorite books, really short, quick, easy read. Russ, It's All in Your Head. He's a rapper, and the dude is just a freaking, I'm going to put it out there, the dude's going to be the next Drake. The dude is just a lyrical genius. Those are some of my favorite books down here. The Ultimate Sales Letter is more of a technical book. High Performance Habits, more of a technical book. Love them though, really good stuff. Best Self by Mike Bayer, amazing book. Those are both about self-development and elevating yourself as a person, becoming more optimal. Really big on that. So these are all my sales books that I have lined up. You could probably see a few of these in the video, but if not, Mike Weinberg, one of my favorite sales authors of all frickin' time. I'm actually messaging him on Instagram. Mike, if you're watching this, we're getting that scheduled up where I'm going to interview Mike in this Facebook group. The dude is just a freaking, in my book, he's a legend because he comes from traditional selling background, which is like what we teach, right? Traditional concepts that hold true in a modern day age. So we have here, everyone communicates, few connect, micro messaging, cybernetics, negotiation genius, power of the subconscious mind. Jeb Blount has a lot of amazing sales books, got a lot of his. So anyway, these are some I have on my immediate reads for sales. And the big one is leadership. This is the big piece that a lot of people miss in who they are as a person, as a sales pro, as a business owner, solopreneur, whatever, is leadership. And you can have all the skills in the world, but if you can't lead, you're going to remain solo forever. Right? You'll never be able to break through your own mental barriers, and you will remain a prisoner of your own mind forever. Well, until you break the pattern. So these books are really great for being able to break through that. So I've read a bunch of leadership-based books, but some of the ones I got on the roster here, in case you guys want to write them down to read them: Ego is the Enemy, Leadership 2.0, 15 Laws of Growth, right? Really big John Maxwell fan, personally. The Culture Code, Radical Uncertainty. So I'm pretty pumped to read this book. This is how to make decisions beyond the numbers. So if you're a sales pro, you know that I need to look at all my numbers every day on my metric sheet in order to identify the first thing I need to change to create the most impact, right? That's a big miss if you're a sales pro and you're not doing this, because you won't know what to fix. You'll think you're the problem all the time. But the truth is, a lot of the time, and we just talked about this on our sales meeting this morning, but like if your no-show rate is the one thing that's more abstract than the rest of your numbers and your KPIs, then you want to go in and fix the no-show rate first. You fix that, you're going to see an immediate result, right? Quick impact, all right? If you're not collecting much cash, but you're closing a lot of deals, then all you got to do is fix the end of your call and the way that you're positioning your question stacking all of a sudden, boom, immediate increase. It's important to make sure that you're tracking those numbers. But when it comes to leadership, I'm doing a lot of pointing. When it comes to leadership, there are times that you need to make decisions beyond the KPIs, beyond the numbers, okay? There's a lot of elements that are not tangible that play major roles in your decision-making process, okay? These are educated decisions. You ever notice somebody decides to buy stock, right? And they buy stock and you ask them like, yo, this is a weird trend. Why are you buying right now? And they say to you, I got a feeling, okay? This is intuition. We'll talk about the 3 things that you need in order to absorb information here in a bit. And in order for this to become intuition, you don't just have intuition for a specific topic. You go through the 3 styles of learning, and then whenever you get to mastery, right, you master your craft, all of a sudden it becomes intuitive. You don't just have intuition out of thin air. It doesn't work like that. But subliminally, you probably don't even realize this, guys, that you're doing it, right? And subliminally, you're developing intuition for a skill set, making you have this really smooth process. Like when Babe Ruth hits home runs, it just looks like butter, right? When he does that, it's because he has the reflex, okay? That's why he has the reflex, because he's been doing it so long, and it's because he went through 3 stages of learning. So these are books on that. So now you guys have gone through, you've seen the books I'm reading next for sales, the books I'm reading next for leadership, business, learning about other leaders, other leading companies, books I have read. Haven't gone through a ton, but went through some of them. So let's go through the 3 stages of learning, okay? So Nicholas, appreciate it, man. I'm definitely doing the unboxing. We're going to try to do it this week. I'm going to do it in the high-rise, though, the new apartment. And we're going to do it in there. So let's go over the 3 stages of learning. So a lot of the time people get these backwards and they struggle to be able to implement. And then they say to themselves, I feel like I just did that, but it doesn't work. Or I feel like I did that, why can't I make it work? Or that won't work because. Or they immediately judge something because of their past experiences, the biases they've created in their subconscious. They immediately say, there's no way that can work. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a few different ways you can overcome that with 3 stages of learning. Number 1 is observing. Okay? This is a skill set in its own. All right? So this is a skill set in its own, being able to observe and not judge. This says a lot about your open-mindedness. Okay? There's this, I don't like using this term, but it applies. Woke. Are you woke? Okay? So the more woke you become, the truth is, like, that just means you have an open mind. You realize that there's more beyond what you're seeing. Same views, different perspectives. Just because I'm looking at the same thing doesn't mean you see the same thing. MacGyver is a great example of this, and it's a funny example, but the dude can make a deadly weapon out of a paper clip and a rubber band. Okay? It's MacGyver. He sees something you don't see. He sees a weapon, you see some kind of useless appliance, useless thing. So life is no different. Okay? Being able to observe and not judge, and to be able to just let it soak in, like take it all in, without actually holding on to any of it. This is especially difficult for empaths, okay? And extroverts. And because extroverts want to voice their opinion immediately, right? Because they are very verbal. Whereas empaths are typically introverts, but empaths hold on to emotion. So it's really difficult for them to be able to just let it go. Observing is an incredibly difficult skill set. Right? Most people that you know in your life probably look at something and immediately voice their opinion because they know exactly what's happening. But you don't know what's happening. When you see something happen, something transpired prior to that event to lead up to that event happening. You don't know the details behind the event. But because you saw one thing, you assume that you know. This is also a problem in sales calls. People hear one thing and they're like, oh yeah, I want to get leads. And because you're a lead delivery company, you think to yourself, oh, I've got the solution, and then you throw up on them. That's why people lose the deal, okay? You're not able to observe without judging. This is its own skill set. So being able to observe and not judge, that'll be the first thing. Number 2 is going to be able to be actively creative, okay? This is another incredibly difficult skill set. But once you start getting it down, you'll feel more comfortable. So being able to be creatively active means that you're basically interested in popping open the hood and going under the hood and playing around with all the stuff in the car. Being able to figure out how this thing works. Taking apart a computer, putting a computer back together. Dissecting a sales call, taking sales calls so you get the repetition. Saying things you wouldn't normally say. Saying things that you learned from a script. Saying things you learned from a framework. Saying things you learned from YouTube. Saying things you learned from a mentor. You're applying, you're actively being creative in the process and moving the pieces around until, oh my gosh, the car works. You put the pieces back together, the car works. Oh my God, this is crazy. You take it apart again, okay? All of a sudden, you're moving the pieces around. Oh my God, I did it faster. I got the car to work, and I got it to work faster. This is crazy. Hold on, I gotta try this again with another car. You go to another car, right? You do it again. You go to another car, but this one's a luxury car, right? It's a foreign car. So now you're back to the process of like figuring it out. Being creatively active allows you to be able to like go through things without the fear of messing up. Just being able to do it because you understand that the process, being great at the process, will lead to an outcome. Okay? Whether that outcome's ideal and exactly what you want, who knows? But what you know is if you fall in love with the process and you're actively creative and you're passionate about the process, an outcome will happen. You can continue to alter the outcome by changing the process. Okay? As you continue to do this, you become more fluent, you become faster and faster at it. What ends up happening next is you fall into mastering your craft. So this is whenever you can do something so fluently and you can look at all the pieces on the ground to that car. And by the way, I can't build a car to save my life, guys, but I'm using this analogy because it's the easiest one to understand in my opinion. So you're looking at all the pieces on the ground of this car and you're able to immediately know, without having to put it together, you're missing a piece. I've been doing this for a long time. I put together thousands of cars. I can tell you right now, without putting this car together, you're missing a piece. Okay? So you can say that right away. That's because you've mastered your craft. Now the next step into that is intuition. When you've mastered a craft, you have so many hours in it, even if you stop practicing the craft, it's basically in your DNA now. And now you have intuition for that specific skill set and topic. Okay, somebody says something about a car. Man, my car won't start. Okay, and they ask you an intentional question. How's this going in the car? Have you done this with the car? They give you a few answers. Okay, well, it sounds to me like what you're dealing with is diagnosis. See how that works? Same thing in a sales call. Okay? That's what, if you guys have ever watched any of my live sales calls, like I have a few in my Facebook group where I stream them live in front of 9,000 people and one call close these deals for $36,000. Because I know how to observe. Oh, by the way, it was for a company that wasn't mine, selling a product I've never sold with an industry I've never been in. Okay? It's because I don't need to know the details. All I need to know is my process in communicating. It's intuitive for me. I observe without judging. I know what types of words to say in specific types of language patterns I hear because I know what that's going to trigger for them. How to be able to avoid the landmines of trauma. Okay, and how to strategically word my phrases strategically vague in a way that still resonates with them so we can connect, right? And be on the same wavelength, be on the same vibe without overstepping my boundaries and without triggering a trauma, okay? That immediately loses my rapport. That's why I don't need to know all the details of what I'm selling, and I don't need to know all the details of what's going on with them. I need to know the one thing that's going to create the most immediate change, and can that person relate with me? Remember, people buy on emotion and justify with logic, all right? I can break down or reverse engineer numbers when it makes sense to, but people need to like you. And liking you isn't the number one reason they buy. It's actually not nearly as important as it used to be in prior years. Right? But it's important from a rapport standpoint. Do they connect with you in a way that they can trust you? And then obviously the details of the logic, it helps them justify the purchase or transaction. But these are the things that lead to mastery, right? Mastering your craft and having intuition in the subject. This is how I learn and absorb information. Observe, be actively creative, and then master my skill set and have intuition. Okay? That's what we do in our coaching programs, right? If you're looking to develop your sales team, sales systems, that's why people work with us. Okay? Is to be able to learn these skill sets to that degree. And that's how you become an asset. Anyway, fam, I'm going to be unboxing our 2 Comma Club Award more than likely next Tuesday. We're going to try to shoot for later this week, more likely next Tuesday, so I can put together my new high-rise. You guys will probably still see some videos in this apartment because I'm keeping this apartment too. We're going to use one for more of an office space, this one for more as like a chill space, disconnecting from the internet. But if you guys have any questions down below, let me know. I see we have on here, yes, we get a list of books or any of your team members can prepare. It would be a gold mine. Might do something like that. Might make a download. Alex says, thank you. Do you have the list itself? We don't have the actual list because this list is always going. Like the other day, but here's how I see books, because I've got probably 3 dozen books down here that I haven't read, including these. Like the ones I'm reading right now are Always Day One. And by the way I read, I'm skipping topics. The reason I buy so many books at once is because I see it as in like Netflix, right? So on Netflix, they have something you can add a movie. It's called Add to My List. So I see this as like adding to your My List. Okay, this is like on Netflix, I'm adding to my list. So anytime I go into a Barnes & Noble or a bookstore and I see books, like the other day I bought 12 books and I haven't read any of them. I opened up one last night, but I haven't opened up any of the other books. They're just sitting here, right? Because they're on my list. And if they're in the season that I'm in life and business, I'll read them. If they're not in that season, I'm going to read a different type of book. You know, my son saw me check out at the register, and it was $300 when I bought these books. It cost $300. And my son said, Dad, why'd you spend $300 on 12 books? It's a lot of money. And he's 7. And I was like, yeah, son, there's something called return on investment. And he's like, what's that? I was like, well, the acronym is ROI, just like LOL, means laugh out loud. Again, remember this, KPI indicators for dummies? Remember what I talked about when I brought this book up? It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the person that knows the most and knows how to consolidate the information and make it universally applicable. Okay? So I use an analogy to be able to bridge a thought gap. All right? My son knows what LOL is. He doesn't know what ROI is. I connect the two by saying they're both acronyms. Okay? So now he knows what acronym is. He knows what those letters stand for. Now I'm explaining what return on investment means. So it was a great learning opportunity as well. And what's crazy is the learning opportunity didn't come from inside the books, it came from the purchasing of the books themselves. A lot of people look at a purchase where they don't see an immediate return on money, like if you buy a course or a coaching program or a service, you don't see immediate return. Unsophisticated buyers will see that as a loss. But a sophisticated buyer will understand, did I get something worth the money back? Or will I see it, and how will I know I'll see it? Okay? Being able to track, measure, create transparency, visibility around what a win looks like, right? What your actions look like to accomplish the win. These are things that are overlooked, okay? So when I buy these books, I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of them right now, but I will. And when I do, it's going to make a difference, because the one line that helps me better contextualize some of my natural talents or adds more knowledge to me is going to help more people. And those people I help are going to see amazing results. They're going to want to refer their friends. It's going to better our product as a whole. Okay? So in my mind, that $300 is worth millions of dollars to me. So you guys can see how that works and this is what makes it so easy for me to sell on the phone and to have so much conviction, because this is how I buy stuff. I was talking with our team, an end of day sales meeting, and I bought an $8,000 mattress. This is back in 2018 when we first started really doing well in business. And they're like, why would you want to buy an $8,000 mattress? And I was like, why wouldn't you? think about it. When I buy something like this, how long is it gonna last? Okay, I buy a mattress, my last mattress lasted me 10 years. So if this mattress lasts me 10 years, I'm really only spending, what is that, $1,000 a month? Not even, $800 a year, $800 a year divided by 12. I'm spending less than $100 a month to sleep on a fucking cloud. Okay, that also vibrates and folds, and it's like a transformer basically. So in my mind, that's how I see my purchase. Okay, I don't see it as an $8,000 cash down. I see it as $80 a month to increase my performance, right? To give me a luxury feel, so it changes my mindset because I'm surrounded by abundance. Everything changes for me as a result of $80 a month. Would you invest in $80 a month to completely change the trajectory of your mindset and your life? That's what I see when I buy an $8,000 mattress. Okay? So this is another great example. Perspective, right? See one thing. Just because I'm looking at something doesn't mean you're seeing the same thing as me. That comes from wisdom, which is again why I like to read books about people that have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, owning the companies, going through the shit, explaining their side of the story, because it's very different than what somebody else will interpret. So that's really all I got for you guys. I hope that was incredibly helpful. I guess if you want to see the other books I'm reading right now, Always Day One. I like to take notes on what I read, so I highlight stuff. Keep my highlighter right here. I highlight stuff in the book, and then inside my journal I write down key points that I highlighted, what page they're on, and why I highlighted it. So this way I can remember it for context. So I've got Always Day One, which is my lessons book, right? Talking about tech giants. New Sales Simplified by Mike Weinberg, my sales book. And then Robert Greene's book, who wrote 48 Laws of Power, called Mastery. Really great book too. So honestly, Robert Greene's just an amazing power writer. But anyway, so I hope this was incredibly helpful for you guys. Stay tuned in. We're going to do an unboxing of the 2 Comma Club Award. I'm going to go over all the lessons we learned in order to accomplish building $1 million company so quickly. Which, by the way, we only spent, I believe it was like 130 grand in ads to generate $1.3 million in collected revenue. So pretty good returns as well. So we're going to share with you like all the lessons that were learned in order to accomplish that. I'm pretty sure, if I remember the numbers correctly, we actually spent, this year we spent over $100,000 money out of the bank in education, coaches, courses, stuff like that. Pretty sure we spent 180 grand, I believe. 180 grand, $200,000 in just coaches, mentors in order to get us to this point. So we've spent more in education than we have in ads. If that speaks to you guys at all, the education is one of the most important pieces to it. And if you think 30 grand's a lot to make a few $100,000, you're always going to struggle to spend a few $100,000 to make a few million. And that's the mindset holding you back. So it's not, the actual fixed cost is relative. Okay, you got to stop looking at the fixed cost or you'll remain stuck forever. You got to look beyond that. Okay, but anyway, hope this was helpful, fam. If it was, drop in the comments your number one takeaway. And I will catch you all next time during the unboxing.